Having food at an event isn't just about fulfilling a basic human need. It helps you develop relationships because when you eat together, you naturally let your guard down. You don't get as easily distracted, you have a chance for good conversation, and let's be honest, people just love food, and so it makes it a lot easier to bring people out to your events. But doing snack right takes some intentionality and some practice, so here's everything that you need to know to make your life easier and to take your snack to the next level. The first thing you need to establish is how big of a commitment you want this to be, because you can either have food that constitutes a full meal, as in don't eat before you show up, or you can just have little things to snack on, and both are okay. The key here is consistency, because if you flip-flop between the two options, people won't know what to prepare for, and then they may or may not eat ahead of time. And then in that case, you've got some people showing up who are really hungry and you've just got a little bit of snack, or people that aren't hungry at all and you've got all this food left over. Your budget, time commitment, and just what time the event is being held will all contribute to this decision. Just make sure it is consistent. Now, all of the food that you have for your snack will fall into one of two categories. You'll either have catered food made by like an actual restaurant, or you'll have homemade options that you've prepared yourself. Making a dish yourself is definitely cheaper and, in my opinion, oftentimes higher quality, but it does take more work. And on the flip side, catering is the opposite, where while it's more expensive, it is faster and more convenient. And as long as you remember that Chick-fil-A is closed on Sundays, you shouldn't run into any problems. To make catering as easy as possible, I would just suggest using whatever restaurants are the most convenient to you. But a couple of good examples are Chipotle, Panda Express, Subway, subs from a local grocery store, and pretty much any pizza place. As far as making food yourself, we have had success with a lot of different dishes. I'll just kind of list them all out, but I'll have some recipes in the description if you want to try them yourself. We've done simple stuff like bags of chips and soda, soft pretzels, grilled cheese sandwiches, ham and cheese sliders, pancakes, buffalo chicken dip. We've made pulled chicken in the crock pot, nachos. We've made our own subs. We've done pigs in a blanket, walking tacos, and we've even done an ice cream bar. The crock pot in general is already a really good option because you can just toss stuff in there and then let it cook over a long period of time. Plus, the crock pot is easy to transport and it holds a lot of food, so I don't know why I wasn't doing this earlier because it is literally like a cheat code. But whether your food is homemade or catered, in both cases I would recommend having some sort of secondary to go along with your food, like a salad or chips or garlic bread. Sometimes people just don't like the main thing that you're preparing, but they still want to eat with their friends, so having a second option can go a really long way. And if you're listening to all this and it sounds like a big commitment, the good news is that this is the perfect thing to ask for help from a parent volunteer for. If someone's kid is in your group, chances are they want to support you, but they just don't know how. And if you ask for help, you will get a yes a lot of the time if you tell them specifically what you need. First, I would just ask them whether they prefer to pick some food up or make something themselves. And then depending on what they choose, I'll give them like 2 or 3 different examples of what they could do. And I'll also let them know that as long as they keep the receipts, that my church will reimburse them for any of the money that they spend. But a lot of the time they just say, don't worry about it. I take care of all the utensils and the plates and all that for them so that they can just focus on the food, but I do ask them to stay for the entire duration of the snack instead of just dropping off and leaving. Because not only does outsourcing the snack take a lot of the work off of you, it gives the parents a first-hand opportunity to see what the group is like without feeling like they're encroaching on their kids' space. So once you've done snack prep a couple of times for yourself, I would highly recommend getting some parents involved in the process. And the last thing that you need to tell parents is about how many people they should expect to feed, which is obviously something you're gonna need to know yourself. This can be a bit of a challenge, but I start off by giving myself a range of what is the least number of people that could be at a meeting, all the way up to the absolute most people that could be there. And from there, I'll try to get a feel if we're gonna be on the higher end of that range or the lower end of that range by asking a couple of regulars. If I'm hearing that a lot of the regulars are gonna be there and maybe they're even bringing friends, then we're probably gonna be on the higher end of the spectrum. But if there's a lot of people out of town or just busy that day, then we'll probably be a little bit lower. This gets me a more accurate idea of who's going to be there, and then I'll prepare the snack for the higher end of that range. In my opinion, I would always rather have too much food than not enough because people really do get disappointed if you run out, and so I would just always rather take the extras home. The only thing left to consider is who is going to be there, because when I'm doing the math in my head for how much food to prepare, I'm gonna assume that an 80-pound 6th grader eats less than a senior on the football team. And one other thing that I want to remind you of, because it might slip your mind if you're not careful, is to make sure that you have enough tableware. You'll need plates or bowls, cups, napkins, forks, spoons, and knives. I also prefer having a pitcher of water as opposed to individual water bottles, because not only is it less wasteful, but it's also just actually tiring picking up cases of water. Then I'll also pick up 2 liters of soda, iced tea, or lemonade, normally about 1 for every 4 people that are gonna be there. Now all that's left is the fun part of eating, but there are still 2 things that you can do to make your experience better. For one, our youth group always prays before every meal, and this is a great opportunity to have one of your youth lead the prayer. Most young people don't like to pray out loud because they just don't know what to say, but when you're having a meal, you can literally just tell them to say, hey, thanks God for the food and thank you for this time together. And the other tip, which is potentially the most important out of everything, is to have an adult serve the food. Not only will this help ensure that the portioning of the food is something reasonable, it will also help your cleanup a million times over. Young people are capable of serving themselves food, but they don't often realize how big of a mess that they're making. So by having an adult be the one to scoop the stuff out, you will cut your cleanup time in half easily. And now that your snack is over, you are ready for the rest of your meeting. And if you need games for that, I would recommend going to the Game Index on our website. Over the last year, we have created dozens of game tutorials, and the Game Index allows you to filter all those by different criteria, such as your group size, what materials you need, and whether you want to play indoors or outdoors. This resource is available on our website entirely free, and while you're there, check out all the other resources that we have available for you, such as Worth 1,000 Words. It comes with 100 4x6 photos as well as a card of example questions. The leader asks one of those questions, and then instead of answering normally, everybody chooses a photo that best represents their response. That way, when they share their answer to the question, it's more thought out, highly visual, and it helps everybody remember their answer. So check out Worth 1,000 Words as well as all of the other resources that we have that make it as easy as possible to bring people together.